BizBeat, the insight you need. I'm Chen. Top diplomats of China and the United States last Friday concluded the high-level strategic dialogue in Anchorage, Alaska, with both sides calling the talks candid and constructive. Will the United States be a responsible stakeholder in global affairs? Will the United States come back with sustained commitment and contributions to multilateral cooperation? Will the United States be ready and willing to respect other countries' interests and listen to their voice? Those are big questions marks in the minds of the global community. The international community observed the talks closely as China-U.S. relations have encountered unprecedented difficulties in the past few years due to disruptions by the previous U.S. administration's irresponsible policies, Cold War mentality, and ideological biases. No one expects that one dialogue can resolve all the issues between China and the United States or bring their ties fully back on track. The Anchorage Dialogue does provide a good chance for the two sides to exchange views and set a framework for future engagement. It will help the two countries clearly understand each other's policy intentions, deepen mutual understanding, avoid misunderstanding and misjudgment, as well as forestalling conflict and confrontation. As Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said, dialogue is always better than confrontation. Some of their doubts can be eased through dialogue, while some long-existing problems can be managed through dialogue. The Biden administration should recognize that China and the United States are not doomed to pose a threat to each other. Differences are no reason for confrontation between them, and neither side can afford the consequences of conflict and confrontation. Secondly, any dialogue between China and the U.S. has to be conducted with spirits of mutual respect and seeking common ground while reserving differences. As Yang Jiechi, a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee and director of the Office of the Central Leading Group for Foreign Affairs, said in the opening session that U.S. should follow the necessary diplomatic protocol and is now qualified to speak from commanding position towards the Chinese people. The U.S. said should have a correct view of China's political system and the development path. It should not underestimate China's resolve to safeguard its sovereignty and national dignity. In particular, China will resolutely defend its own political system and values and oppose any attempt to use a human rights issue as a cover to interfere in China's internal affairs. There's no room for China to compromise on its core interests. Thirdly, China and the United States should look for every opportunity to cooperate as two countries have more common interests than differences. Meanwhile, cooperation should be two-way and mutually beneficial and should address the concerns of both sides in a balanced way instead of one side unilaterally drawing up a list or a gouging price. For the moment, the two countries could cooperate on three most pressing tasks facing the international community, namely fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, tackling climate change, and promoting world economic recovery. Former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger has also called on the two countries to make even more intense efforts to work together. While the Biden administration seeks to renew U.S. democracy and work with allies to engage China from a position of strength, the world has dramatically changed in recent years. Most countries, including some U.S. allies in Asia, actually have some doubts and concerns about U.S. policies. It's a sobering fact that the overwhelming majority of countries in the world will not recognize that the opinion of the United States could represent international public opinion, and those countries will not recognize that the rules made by a small number of people would serve as a basis for international order. As Biden administration officials are crafting its China policy, they should remember what they learned from the Anchorage Dialogue and avoid miscalculation. The two sides should also follow the spirit of Xi-Biden telephone conversation to restore normal dialogue and exchange mechanisms. Chinese President Xi said, and I quote, "The two countries should deal with bilateral relations on the basis of no conflict, no confrontation, mutual respect, cooperation, and win-win principles."